I wonder about, we seem to be, we're thinking about what comes next right now. How do we go back into not normality, but maybe something new? And I'm wondering, now that you've been through this huge learning experience this year of just adaptability to a crazy level, just doing everything and being there for everyone and prioritizing emotional literacy and engagement well above the academic thing. How does that go forward when you go back to some kind of normality, if you want to put it that way? Is there anything you do differently? I mean, has this influenced what comes next?
We are really worried about that as well, because supposedly we were going to go to normality the 25th of January, supposedly. The government was going to give us permission to go into school like 3 days and 2 days stay virtually. That was the plan for Bogota, at least, that all the schools in Bogota, we were going to school 3 days and we were going to stay virtually 2 days. So we did a whole plan that we were going to take advantage of those days that we were going to go to school, and we were going to preserve our well-being spaces. So we were going to just reduce the academic timetable, and we were going to have sessions, vivid sessions with our students in school. But that has changed. And in Bogota, we're going back to everything is going to be closed. So we're not going back. And we're trying to design a new plan. We don't have it yet. And we know that we cannot keep doing the same as we were being doing, because as well, our students are tired now of the same. We did it for 1 year. We have to come up with new strategies now. We haven't designed those new strategies because we were really hopeful that our new strategy was to do something different in school altogether. Now we cannot do it because they closed, or they told us that we could not do it 1 week ago. We start school formally tomorrow. So we're like in the middle of the things. The only thing that we know is that we cannot keep doing the same, because we just have to change. Because if we face the students again to talk and talk, they're going to be bored of it. Yeah. So we have to think on something different. Actually, we don't know exactly what it's going to be. But one of the ideas that we have, I don't know if it's going to be that way. The thing is that we don't have enough teachers. But what I was telling you, for example, we have 25, 26 students per class. What we were thinking is give personalized classes and only have 5 or 6 students per class. Yeah? That means that the teacher will only give class to 5 or 6 students in the timetable. I don't know if you understand. So she's going to be able to give math, but at the same time, she's going to have the time to work in the emotional part with those 5 or 6 students. The thing is that the teacher is going to have to work more hours. And that is a problem because we cannot pay more to the teacher. That's one thing. And we don't have more teachers because the school's not going to allow us to have more teachers. So we're trying to think what to do. But if we want to do it that way, it's impossible for a teacher to work with 10 students at the same time, to do both things, academic and emotional. Yeah? And we want all the students to turn on the video. We want all the students to be connected, all the students to be ready for learning. And it's impossible to do it with 10 to 12 students at the same time. And it's more impossible to do it with 25 students. So we're trying to see what we can do. But actually, we don't know. It's something that it came out like...
Yeah.
Which I believe it's absolutely fine. I think one thing that we've known all these years is there are things that are completely out of our control, and it's not like we can know everything. We can certainly try, but there are things that we need to assume that, you know what, I need to stop here, take a step backwards, and think again about what can we learn and what can we improve. So Marcela, I have one question for you in terms of the whole experience that you described. If you were to suggest for a school that is in another geographical area and that has, I believe, other kind of struggles on top of what you already described? What would be your best advice to a school that is also in 2021 willing to integrate well-being spaces or take positivity within the curriculum as such for their kids?
Do a mapping of your students. Exactly know where your students are standing, because assuming that your students are ready for academic without knowing how they are feeling emotionally, it's not good. Know exactly where your students are standing. It's more important to know how they are feeling emotionally than academically. So if a school it's more interested in fulfilling all the academic without knowing how a student is feeling with all the situation, probably they're not going to have any type of success with that student. But if we encourage the student to be really strong emotionally, academics, and all the things will allow the students to go over the situation, this chaotic situation. Yeah?
Right.
It's my recommendation. And for us, really, we need to be really strong emotionally to overgo with this situation. Yeah? Because you say, yeah, it's COVID, it's the pandemic, it's all the situation, but it hurts. It hurts, and it's difficult to go over with this. It's 1 year of being closed. Imagine, we don't know if it's another year that we're going to be in the same situation. We don't know if the vaccine is going to work. We don't know. It's some things that, so emotionally, your mind starts to be really creative. And that's hard for a student. That's hard for a teenager. That's hard for a 10-year-old that says, hey, what's going to happen with me? They are scared. They're anxious. So that would be my recommendation. First, see how they are feeling emotionally. Make a diagnostic, for example.
Can I ask, Marcela, because I'm curious, and I know that our listeners will be curious as well, but because a lot of them are in Europe. In a country like, for example, I'm in Scotland right now, and well-being is it's embedded in the curriculum. Obviously what we're talking about here is something specific to the situation of the pandemic, but it generally is that, issues that we talk about in the curriculum. And I wonder, in Colombia, what is the situation? Is well-being and emotional literacy part of the curriculum, or is this something that every school has to decide how to manage it? Or
supposedly, I'm going to tell you, supposedly on paper,
magic word, supposedly.
Supposedly, it has to be, yeah. And everybody talks about well-being, yeah. And the Ministry of Education says that every single school has to work on well-being. But if I tell you the truth, it's not the reality, yeah. Schools, they are more interested, or they pay more attention on the academics than the well-being. Here in Colombia, for example, in my school and many schools, we have psychologists, yeah? And we have 2 or 3 psychologists per each school division, for example, yeah? To attend all the different situations with the students that I know, for example, that in England, that I go a lot, we have an immersion program with schools in England. And for example, the schools that I take my students, they don't have a psychologist for the students, yeah? Supposedly they don't. We do. Yeah, we do. And they give them classes, and they have private sessions. And supposedly that has to be included. But if you see it, it's not. It's not. Yeah? Or they only pay attention to those students that are struggling, or those students that are being a problem for the school.
Of course.
Yeah? But if you see the general of all the students, the 100% of the students, it's not happening. Another recommendation I would give you is that the students that you can call them mature, or you feel them really strong, are the best psychologists, tutors, parents, and all that for their peers. I mean, it's amazing what a friend can do with another one, what a peer can do with another person. Yeah. And sometimes schools don't allow others to help others. And it's important. It's important. Yeah. And we have allowed our students to be empowered in that sense. And it has been really helpful.